The blood on Kong Miho's knuckles was still warm when he saw her. Not at a gala. Not at some exclusive club where women wore designer gowns and fake smiles. No, he saw the woman who would change everything while she was sprawling on a Koreatown sidewalk, surrounded by scattered pizza flyers, yelling at his driver like she had a death wish. Watch it, man. Your dad doesn't own the damn road. His security team reached for their guns. His driver went pale. And Kong Miho, the man they called the Ice King, the man who hadn't felt anything in 5 years, felt something crack wide open in his chest. But here's the thing about falling for the wrong woman when you're the most dangerous man in Koreatown. Someone's always watching.
This is just the beginning.
Someone's always waiting for you
fast.
to show weakness. And Miho had just found his. Yo. If you're already hooked by this dark romance, do me a huge favor real quick. Smash that subscribe button right now. My mom literally bet me this video could hit 1K subscribers and I'm trying to prove her right. Drop a comment telling me, Team Love at First Sight or Team, he's moving too fast? And hit that like button because part 2 is coming and trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next. Now let's get back to the story. 10 minutes earlier, Miho had been in a warehouse across town, teaching a lesson about loyalty. The man who'd been skimming from his organization now had a broken nose and a very clear understanding of consequences. Miho's knuckles were bruised, his suit jacket was in the car, and his mood was darker than usual. Back to the office, he told his driver, settling into the Mercedes. The Ice King. That's what everyone called him. 5 years since his father's death. 5 years since he'd taken over the organization. 5 years since he'd locked every soft emotion away and become exactly what Koreatown needed him to be, cold, calculating, untouchable. Women had tried. God knows they tried. Socialites sent him invitations. Actresses showed up at his clubs. Models accidentally bumped into him at restaurants. He saw through all of it. The fake laughs, the rehearsed smiles, the way they looked at his wallet instead of his face. He'd become numb to it. Numb to everything. Until the car swerved and the world exploded in neon pink and yellow. Boss. His driver slammed the brakes. Through the windshield, plastered with flyers, Miho saw her. A woman on the ground, papers scattered around her like confetti. He stepped out of the car. His security team materialized instantly, hands moving to concealed weapons. Standard procedure. Someone had gotten too close to the boss. But then she stood up. Golden brown skin glowing in the afternoon sun. Braids swinging as she dusted off her ripped jeans. A crop top that said tacos or die, and an expression that clearly said she was ready to fight God himself. Watch it, man. She glared at the Mercedes like it had personally offended her. Your dad doesn't own the damn road. The street went silent. Even the traffic seemed to hold its breath. His security team stared. His driver looked like he might pass out. Random pedestrians suddenly found reasons to be somewhere else. No one talked to Kong Miho like that. Ever. Do you know who? His head of security started. I know he almost ran me over, that's who. She bent down, gathering her scattered flyers with quick, frustrated movements. These took me 2 hours to organize. 2. And now they're covered in street dirt and probably car oil. Miho couldn't speak. For the first time in 5 years, words failed him completely. She was beautiful, yes. But it wasn't just that. It was the fire in her eyes. The absolute fearlessness. The way she treated him like he was just some random guy who couldn't drive instead of the man who controlled half of Koreatown. She looked up at him, really looked at him for the first time, and froze. Oh. Oh. His voice came out rougher than intended. You're. She blinked. Okay, fine. You're gorgeous. Like, stupidly gorgeous. But you still almost killed me, pretty boy. Pretty boy. Kong Miho. The Ice King. The man who'd made grown men cry, who'd ended careers with a phone call, who'd built an empire on fear and respect, had just been called pretty boy by a street flyer girl in a tacos or die crop top. His security team actually gasped. One of them made a choking sound. Something shifted in Miho's chest. Something that had been frozen solid since his father's funeral. A crack appeared in the ice, and suddenly he could feel again, warmth, curiosity, amusement, and something dangerously close to fascination. What's your name? The question escaped before he could stop it. Petra. She stood up, clutching her remaining flyers. Petra Winston. And before you ask, yeah, I'm named after a city in Jordan. My mom was obsessed with travel documentaries. Now, if you and your very scary-looking friends are done blocking the sidewalk, have dinner with me. The words hung in the air like a grenade with the pin pulled. His security team's shock was almost visible. Kong Miho didn't date. He didn't do dinner. He definitely didn't ask random women out in the middle of the street while his knuckles were still bloody from a business meeting. Petra laughed. Actually threw her head back and laughed. Wow. You're serious? Dude, you almost turned me into a pancake and now you want dinner? Do you think every woman is just dying to go out with you because you've got good cheekbones and an expensive car? Yes, he said honestly. She laughed harder. Okay, points for honesty. But no thanks, pretty boy. I've got 300 more flyers to distribute before sunset. She started walking away, then turned back. Hey, maybe watch where you're going next time. Not all of us can afford to replace designer suits when they get street pizza from them. She disappeared into the crowd before he could respond. Miho stood there, blood still on his knuckles, expensive shoes on the dirty sidewalk, watching her go. His security team waited nervously. They'd seen him break bones, destroy businesses, end careers with a single phone call. They'd never seen him smile. He was smiling now. Sir. His driver ventured carefully. Should we find out everything about her? Miho's voice was soft, dangerous in a completely new way. Where she lives. Where she works. What she likes. Everything. Of course, sir. Right away. Miho looked down at the flyer in his hand. Somehow he'd picked one up without realizing. Big Tony's Pizza Palace grand opening, free slice with this flyer. He carefully folded it and slipped it into his pocket, right next to his Glock. And cancel my meetings for tomorrow, he added. Sir. I have a pizza place to visit. For the first time in 5 years, Kong Miho was interested in something other than revenge and power. And what Kong Miho wanted, Kong Miho always got. Even if she didn't know it yet. Even if pursuing her would paint a target on her back. Even if falling for Petra Winston was the most dangerous thing he'd ever done. Petra was elbow-deep in pizza dough, singing off-key to Beyoncé, when the most expensive-looking man she'd ever seen walked into Big Tony's Pizza Palace like he owned it. Spoiler alert, he basically did. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Kong Miho slid into a booth, and suddenly the rundown pizza joint felt like a 5-star restaurant. Or a crime scene. With him, it was hard to tell the difference. How did you even find me? Petra looked down at her flower-covered apron, then back at him. He was wearing a simple black t-shirt and jeans that probably cost more than her rent. How did he make casual look like a GQ photo shoot? I'm very resourceful. His eyes tracked her every movement. That's called stalking, pretty boy. I prefer determined pursuit. He picked up a menu like he was actually going to order. You work here? Nope, I just break in after hours to make pizza for fun. She grabbed her order pad. What do you want? Dinner. Tonight. Petra leaned against the booth, studying him. God, he was unfairly attractive. Sharp jawline that could cut glass, dark eyes that seemed to see straight through her, and an intensity that should have been terrifying but was somehow intriguing. You don't give up, do you? Never. What if I'm a terrible person? What if I kick puppies and hate babies? Do you? Well, no. I actually volunteer at the animal shelter on Tuesdays and babysit my niece every weekend. But that's not the point. His lips twitched. Was that almost a smile? Then what is the point? The point is, Mr. Kong. Sir. Big Tony himself burst from the kitchen, face pale as mozzarella. I didn't know, we weren't expecting. Is there a problem? Did someone from my place disrespect you? Because I'll fire them immediately. Tony, what the hell? Petra stared at her boss. You know this guy? Know him? Tony's voice cracked like a teenage boy. Petra, this is Kong Miho. He owns half of Koreatown. The flour-covered spoon in Petra's hand clattered to the floor. I'm sorry, what? Miho's expression didn't change. 3/4, actually. I acquired the Johnson building last month. Oh my God. Petra sank into the booth across from him because her legs suddenly forgot how to work. I called a literal crime boss pretty boy. I told a Mafia king to watch where he's going. Technically, you also said I had good cheekbones and an expensive car. I'm going to die. This is how I die. Murdered for being a smartass to Koreatown's most dangerous man. You're not going to die. His voice softened. Tony, leave us. Yes, sir. Right away, sir. Anything you want is on the house, sir. Forever, sir. Tony practically tripped running back to the kitchen. Silence stretched between them. Petra could hear her own heartbeat. Or maybe that was the health code violations Tony was probably hiding in the back. So, she said finally. What, you came here to threaten me? Make me disappear? Do I need to start writing goodbye letters? I came here to ask you to dinner. Again. Why? She leaned forward. Be real with me. Is this some weird power trip? You get off on the fact that I didn't know who you were. No. He met her eyes directly, and something in his gaze made her breath catch. You're the first person in 5 years who's talked to me like I'm human. Not a boss. Not a weapon. Not someone to fear. Just a man who almost hit you with his car. The sincerity in his voice caught her completely off guard. That's actually really sad. It is. But it still doesn't mean I'm going to dinner with you. Why not? Because, she gestured wildly between them. Look at us. You're a Mafia boss who probably has people killed before breakfast. Brunch, actually. I'm not a monster. And I distribute pizza flyers for minimum wage. My biggest life decision last week was whether to buy the 12-pack of ramen or splurge on the 24-pack. We're from completely different universes. So everything. She laughed, but it came out slightly hysterical. You have security teams. I have pepper spray I bought at the dollar store that's probably expired. He leaned forward, and suddenly the booth felt incredibly small. Petra Winston. You're 26. You work 3 jobs, here, the flyer distribution, and part-time at the bookstore on 5th. You send money back to your mom in Atlanta every month. You're allergic to shellfish. You quote old movies when you're nervous. And you have a cat named Chairman Meow. Petra's mouth fell open. Okay, that's officially creepy. Is it creepy that I also know your favorite color is purple, you're terrified of birds because one stole your ice cream when you were 7, and you cry at every Pixar movie? Even the bad ones. How do you? She stopped. Wait. You talked to my roommate. Sarah sold me out, didn't she? She was very helpful after I made a generous donation to her student loan fund. You bribed my best friend. I prefer strategically incentivized. And it worked, because now I know that you think I'm attractive. You've been single for 2 years because your ex was emotionally unavailable and bad at texting, and you actually want to say yes to dinner but you're scared. Petra's cheeks burned. I hate you. No, you don't. I could learn to hate you. You won't. He pulled out a business card, just a phone number embossed in gold, no name, because apparently he was too important for names, and slid it across the table. Saturday. 8 p.m. I'll pick you up. I didn't say yes. He stood up, and even that simple movement looked powerful. Dangerous. You will. Confident much? Always. He headed for the door, then paused and looked back. By the way, Petra? What? I don't have people killed before breakfast. His eyes glinted with something that might have been humor. I wait until at least brunch. I'm civilized. He left before she could respond, taking all the air in the room with him. Petra sat there, staring at the gold embossed card. At the number that probably connected directly to the most dangerous man in Koreatown. A man who could ruin her life with a phone call. A man who tracked her down, learned everything about her, and somehow made stalking seem almost romantic? Girl. Sarah materialized from behind the counter where she'd clearly been eavesdropping. Did you just turn down Kong Miho again? He's a criminal. He's rich, gorgeous, clearly obsessed with you, and let's be real, that man looks at you like you're the only person in the world. That doesn't make it okay. Sarah grinned. But you're going to call him, aren't you? Petra looked at the card. At the number that could change everything. I'm thinking about it, she admitted quietly. Oh honey. Sarah laughed. You're so gone for him already. Petra threw a dish towel at her, but she was smiling. She was absolutely, completely, terrifyingly gone for the pretty boy Mafia boss. And that was probably going to get her killed. Petra changed outfits 7 times before settling on a purple dress that made Sarah whistle. You look like you're about to either fall in love or witness a murder, Sarah said helpfully. With Kong Miho, it might be both. What Petra didn't know, what she couldn't know as she checked her makeup one last time, was that across town, someone was watching Miho very carefully. Someone who'd noticed the Ice King suddenly had a weakness. And weaknesses, in their world, were meant to be exploited. Main story. The doorbell rang at exactly 8 p.m. Petra opened it to find Miho in a perfectly tailored charcoal suit, holding a single purple rose. Not a bouquet, just one perfect flower. You remembered, she said softly. I remember everything about you. He offered his arm. Ready? To potentially become a Mafia widow before I'm even a Mafia wife? Not really. But she took his arm anyway because apparently her survival instincts had gone on vacation. His car was waiting. A sleek Audi that probably cost more than her life savings. He opened her door himself, waving off his driver. Where are we going? She asked as they pulled into traffic. It's a surprise. I'm not great with surprises. The last surprise I got was my landlord raising my rent by $200. He smiled, that rare, genuine smile that transformed his entire face from dangerous to devastating. I promise this will be better. They drove through Koreatown, past the glittering restaurants where she could never afford to eat, past clubs with velvet ropes and bouncers, and kept going until the city lights faded. Okay, if you're taking me to the woods to murder me, at least let me text Sarah first so she can avenge my death, Petra joked. But then they pulled up to a beach. A private beach, lit with lanterns, with a low table set up on the sand, cushions scattered around it, and the ocean whispering against the shore. You rented a beach, Petra breathed. I own it, actually. He helped her out of the car. I thought you might prefer something less public. Less chance of paparazzi photographing me with a known criminal? Less chance of you feeling uncomfortable. He led her to the cushions. I know dating me comes with complications. That's like saying the ocean is slightly damp. But she sat down, and when he joined her, she noticed how he somehow made sitting on a beach cushion look elegant. He started uncovering dishes: Korean fried chicken, tteokbokki, japchae, kimbap, and about 6 other dishes that made her mouth water. Did you buy out an entire restaurant? I had my chef prepare it. I told him to make everything because I didn't know what you'd like. Your chef. Right. Normal date things. Petra shook her head. Do you realize how insane this is? Last week my idea of a fancy dinner was adding an egg to my ramen. Then I have a lot to make up for. They ate and talked, and Petra found herself relaxing despite everything. He told her about growing up in Koreatown, about his father's legacy, about the weight of running an organization and the loneliness of power. She told him about Atlanta, about her mom's legendary sweet potato pie, about the time she accidentally adopted Chairman Meow after finding him in a dumpster. You're not what I expected, she admitted as they walked along the shoreline, her heels dangling from her hand, his suit jacket draped over her shoulders. What did you expect? Someone scarier. More, Mafia movie villain. But you're actually kind of what? Sweet. She glanced at him. In a could probably have someone disappeared kind of way, but still sweet. I would never hurt you. He stopped walking, turning to face her. The moonlight caught his features, making him look almost ethereal. Petra, I need you to understand something. My world is dangerous. I've done things I'm not proud of. I've hurt people. But I would burn Koreatown to the ground before I'd let anyone touch you. That's both terrifying and somehow romantic. She tilted her head. You're really bad at normal dating, you know that? I've never done this before. What, been on a beach? Cared. The word hung between them. Not since my father died. I shut it all down. Made myself into exactly what the organization needed. Cold, calculating, untouchable. The Ice King. And then you yelled at me about pizza flyers and called me pretty boy, and everything I'd locked away just shattered. Petra's heart was pounding so hard she could hear it over the waves. Miho. You don't have to say anything. I know this is fast. I know it's intense. But I don't do anything halfway, Petra. If you give me a chance, I'm all in. Completely. Terrifyingly. Yours. You forgot adorably, she whispered. What? Completely. Terrifyingly. Adorably. She stepped closer, close enough to see the flecks of gold in his dark eyes. When you say things like that, it's adorable. The Ice King is not adorable. The Ice King doesn't exist anymore. She reached up, touching his face. His skin was warm under her fingertips. You melted him the second you smiled at me in that pizza place. Petra Winston, his voice was rough, you're going to destroy me. Good. She pulled him down and kissed him. It started soft, tentative, but then his arms wrapped around her waist and she melted into him. He kissed like he did everything else. Intense, focused, like she was the only thing in the universe that mattered. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, she was dizzy. So, she managed. Still think I'm going to say yes to more dates? I know you will. Confident and correct. That's annoying. But she was smiling, and when he kissed her again, she forgot why dating a mafia boss was a terrible idea. They stayed on the beach until the stars came out, talking and laughing and stealing kisses that tasted like salt air and possibility. When he finally drove her home, he walked her to her door like a gentleman, though the way he looked at her was anything but innocent. Thank you for tonight, he said softly, tucking a braid behind her ear. For giving me a chance. Thank you for not being a complete psychopath. The bar is low, but you cleared it. He laughed, that real, unguarded sound she was starting to love. Good night, Petra. Good night, pretty boy. She kissed him one more time, quick and sweet, then floated into her apartment where Sarah was waiting with an expectant expression and a tub of ice cream. So? Sarah demanded. Details. Now. All of them. Petra collapsed on the couch, touching her lips. Sarah, I think I'm in love with a mafia boss. Girl, I could have told you that last week. Her phone buzzed. A text from Miho, already missing you. Breakfast tomorrow? Petra grinned and typed back, you're going to spoil me. That's the plan. Sleep well, beautiful. She fell asleep smiling, Chairman Meow curled up beside her, completely unaware that across town, in a dimly lit office, someone was looking at photos of her and Miho on the beach. So, a voice said in the darkness, the Ice King finally found someone he cares about. What do you want to do about it? Another voice asked. A lighter flicked. A cigarette glowed in the dark. What we always do with weakness. We exploit it. The photos were spread across the desk. Miho kissing Petra, holding her, looking at her like she was his entire world. Grab the girl. Tomorrow night. Let's see how cold the Ice King stays when we have his new favorite toy. Did you just see that? Someone's about to snatch Petra. What's Miho going to do? Is she going to get kidnapped? Will the Ice King burn Koreatown down to save her? Listen, my MOM told me this video could hit 1K subscribers and I'm trying to prove her right. If you want to see part 2, and trust me, part 2 is insane, you need to subscribe right now. Hit that subscribe button like Miho's about to hit whoever touches his girl. Drop a comment telling me, what do you think Miho's going to do when he finds out Petra's in danger? And should Petra have listened to her gut about dating a mafia boss? Like this video if you're team Miho and Petra. And turn on those notifications because part 2 drops soon and you do not want to miss what happens next. Seriously, if you're not subscribed, what are you even doing? Subscribe now. My mom's counting on you. Loudly crying face. Part 2 is going to be wild. See you there. Fire.